Batman is great. Can we all agree on that? He has had 12 movies that have all been released in theaters, and that's pretty impressive for a singular character. And today, we're gonna rank all of them, except we aren't. I'm not ranking all 12. First off, movies that are being held off the list are number 1, Justice League, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, because they're super team movies. Like, they're not Batman movies, they're Justice League movies. If I was doing a video called All Justice League Movies Ranked, I'd actually put them in. But does the video say every Justice League movie ranked? Nope. Sorry, Zack Snyder Justice League nerds. Not doing it. Same with all you Joker nerds. It's not a Joker movie ranked thing either. So don't expect Joker or Justice League in here. And also don't expect any movie that wasn't released in theaters to be in here either. Now, for the one movie that I did exclude, I am truly ashamed. It's Batman 1966. I could have watched it if I rented it, but I'm lazy and I like to watch movies for free by getting a crappy DVD from my local library, and they didn't have it. So I guess I'm just not gonna watch it. The problem is I have seen this movie. I just don't remember any of it other than this part. So Batman 1966 won't be appearing on this list. Other than that, if you want more in-depth reviews, I've nearly reviewed every movie on this list other than Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I've done separate reviews for all of these movies on my channel, so go watch those if you want more in-depth thoughts, especially if you're really mad at one of my picks. Go watch one of my videos and see my more in-depth thoughts. Anyways, I think everything should be out of the way. Let's go on to rank these movies, starting with number 11. Okay, this one's personal because it's Batman Forever. Now, I know people like this movie, and that's great, and feel free to write your list below, but for me, this movie is headache-inducing. It isn't so bad it's good because there's only one decent thing here, and that is Jim Carrey. He gets some points as Riddler, and that's kind of fun to watch, but everything else is incredibly dull and boring. And I remember watching the ending fight and going, what is going on here? What a mess. Not a fan of Batman Forever whatsoever. This is the only movie from Batman that I truly don't want to watch again. Number 10, Batman and Robin. This movie sucks. Alright, we all know that, but this movie is so funny to laugh at. This is one of the biggest misfires I have ever seen, and it is comedy gold. And I absolutely love that it is. Every moment is hilarious, but can I reasonably put it any higher than number 10? No, that's lunacy, but I genuinely prefer this over Batman Forever, and I'd watch it any day of the week over that movie. And if you really want to, you can fight me on that. Number 9, Batman v Superman. We've gotten out of straight up bad movies to movies that were just, well, disappointing. Now, I will say this movie has a lot of things going for it. Ben Affleck is pretty good as Batman, and Jeremy Irons' Alfred are really great. And the world they create for Batman, I think, was really good as well. But then you have the story, and Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor, and these are just really weird and so weirdly done, along with trying to set up literally everything for the DCEU in one movie. This is just a movie that is very weird, but a movie on a visual level, I think, is pretty cool. I really respect Zack Snyder as a director, and his visuals at times here are just incredible. But as a story and on a whole, this movie just falls flat for me. Number 8, it's the OG. We gotta pay respect. At number 8, we're getting Batman 1989. This movie is actually pretty decent. These are all now movies that I would recommend. And this movie has so many classic things for Batman movies, like the theme from Danny Elfman, and his entire score for this movie is truly iconic. We also have Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson giving great performances as Batman and Joker, and that ending fight is so good. We don't give enough respect for this movie, because if it failed, we might not have Batman as such an iconic character, even with the Joker as well. Jack Nicholson really showed that this clown could be freaky, and Michael Keaton as well showed that Batman could be very, very cool. That said, the movie struggles to have a coherent storyline, and it does feel at points like scenes are just coming together. I like this movie, but I do think that the strong direction from Tim Burton and great performances by Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson really saved this movie for me. Coming in at number 7 is our first animated movie on this list, and it's Batman Mask of the Phantasm. And I know that this might seem like heresy, but listen, I have never seen Batman the animated series, so I went into this knowing nothing. And in my Batman v Superman review, I said I was nervous to tackle this movie because I hadn't seen the show. And I do like this movie. I just don't love it. I think it's really good. All the performances are great, and the ending is really cool. But the storyline that's in the past just had no weight for me. I did not care about Bruce's old girlfriend, and right off the bat, I guessed who Phantasm was. Still, this is a very cool movie that kind of pushed boundaries on kid movies. I mean, it's rated PG and has scenes like this. I just don't love this movie, but I still really like it. Like, all the movies from this point on, I give like 7 out of 10 too. This is a really good movie, and it's on my number 7, so I helped up the competition. So let's get on to our number 6, and this is the first movie from the Nolan trilogy show on our list, and that is Batman Begins. This is a a very good origin movie for Batman, but I've never really connected with this movie. I mean, I like it, but I just don't love it as much as the other movies. I do think this movie does a great job of setting up the origin of Bruce Wayne, but the second half of this movie with him figuring out what is really going on just isn't as interesting as his origin story. And there's another Batman movie on this list with that exact same problem. The third act here is just not as fun to watch because it feels like it's completely different from what we've set up. And now that we've had a new Batman origin movie that's the first in the series that really shows how to conclude an epic origin, it leaves me still really liking this movie. But if I want to watch a Batman origin movie, I'm not going to turn this one on first. But coming in at number 5 is Batman Returns. To everyone who hates this movie, all I have to say is that you're missing out. Sure, this movie isn't comic accurate and Batman's killing people left and right, but this movie gets so much right. Performances here are so weird and great. I mean, Michael Keaton as Batman is still amazing. Michelle Pfeiffer is still hot. I think she gives a very good and nuanced performance as Catwoman that I think hasn't been matched. Thank you. Danny DeVito is god tier here, and he is amazing as Penguin. And can we appreciate that we have two Penguins that are so different, yet they're both great? This movie just, there's no other way to put it. It has balls. Penguin bites off a dude's nose. That's crazy. Penguin's plan is to kill children, and you have scenes like this. This movie is straight up baller. People, it's time to wake up and realize if you like the Batman, you'll probably like this too, because if we're honest, a ton of the same characters and arcs are in both movies. Overall, this movie is great. I have a really soft spot for it because it's so weird. It's held back because of Max Schneck by Christoph Walken or whatever. He kind of throws off the pacing, and this movie isn't a super tightly constructed narrative, but man, I think this is easily one of the most underrated Batman movies. Coming in at number 4, we have the Lego Batman movie, and it needs to have some respect put on its name. People joke about this movie, but it gets so much about Batman right. We got a good Robin because of the Lego Batman movie. Who would have thought? This movie understands Batman and has such a love for him while poking fun at the silly things while providing a movie that shows that it knows what it takes to make a truly great Batman story that gets to what he is as a character. And this scene, as silly as it is, shows what type of person Batman is. He literally decides that he will die for his city, and in the same movie we have Agent Smith on a roller coaster. Guys, this movie's great, and if I hear someone talk smack about the Lego Batman movie, I just know deep down they're not an intellectual on my level. Number 3 is The Dark Knight Returns. I almost said Rise. Wait, what's the name of this movie? No, Returns is the comic. Rises is the
Where's the trigger?
Why do they make the name so similar? Number 3 is The Dark Knight Rises, right? Yeah, that one. My gosh, I need a nap. Okay, with that out of the way, this movie is great. Let's just admit that. This movie is an absolutely great finale to the Nolan trilogy. Batman realizing that he needs to be responsible and save his city is so great. It's why I love The Dark Knight Returns so much. This movie is showing how he is trying his best to save Gotham and failing, leading to such a great comeback. I mean, this scene where he's rising, ooh, I get chills every time. His relationship with Catwoman is great, and Bane is so good. Now, are there plot holes in some characters who could have been done better? Sure. And do I think the second half is weaker than the first half? Yeah, just like with Batman Begins. But this movie shows Batman being the true hero and being able to overcome defeat. There are hiccups in this movie, but the overall story, themes, character developments, and overall execution of what the story does is absolutely incredible. The overall theme and conclusion of the Nolan trilogy is great, and while it is not flawless, this is a movie, flaws and all, that I think is truly great, and a great send-off to this version of Batman and this amazing trilogy. Okay, the moment of truth, where we see what movie came up one spot short, and that is The Batman. I'm kidding. I mean, that's really mean to frame this movie in that light. I mean, this movie is amazing, but yeah, it's still number 2. This movie is a movie that gets better and better the more I think about it. The world that it portrays is so great, and this Gotham is so good. I mean, it just makes you feel yucky. And Robert Pattinson as Batman, ooh-wee! This world is just fantastic. It feels like you are in the comics. Like, it's amazing. It feels like I could watch endless amounts of this movie. Now, I do think this movie falls a bit short with the actual narrative and the payoff, but I cannot deny that this version of Gotham and Batman and his rogues gallery in this universe might be the definitive take on this character. I am a huge fan of Matt Reeves and crew, and if they can improve upon this, we might even get a movie that beats my number 1. But while this movie is great, I can't justify putting it over number 1, The Dark Knight. I adore this movie. If you ask me on the right day what a perfect movie is, The Dark Knight might be one of my responses. Christian Bale is absolutely fantastic as Bruce Wayne and as Batman in this movie. Batman is pushed to his absolute limits, and so is Commissioner Gordon, played by Gary Oldman, who gives what I think is the definitive take of Commissioner Gordon here, as we see that he is not only a great commissioner in this movie, but he's also a great man. And we have this juxtaposed with the fall of Harvey Dent, turning into a monster because of the absolute insanity that is the Joker. I don't need to harp on how good Heath Ledger is, and the Joker is so interesting here as he just wants to see the world burn, and we see that before our eyes as everyone is absolutely thrown off their guard as Joker's just this agent of chaos blasting through Gotham. This movie is amazing. It's the best Batman movie in every sense of the word, an absolute masterclass in what a superhero movie can be. I remember seeing this movie for the first time with my dad and afterwards saying, I think that is one of my favorite films I've ever seen. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this was one of my favorite films. And if you check my letterbox right now, if you see what my top 4 films are, you'll see that The Dark Knight is in there. This is easily a top 5 film for me of all time, and I adore this movie. I love The Dark Knight, and it's one of my favorite films ever. And it is easily my favorite Batman movie. And that's my list. What is your ranking though? I'd love to hear it down below because there's so many different opinions when it comes to Batman rankings, and I'd love to hear it. I got a really cool video coming relating Batman, and that is going to be really rad. So stay tuned for that, and when that comes out, I'll see you then. Bye.